Melissa Mertz is the the Associate Executive Director of the PIAA, and her conversation brought to us by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Melissa, I practiced that so long, and I didn't get it right. How about that? That's not right. I should have.
I've been called worse. No problem.
Melissa, yesterday at this time we were talking to Steve Murray of the PSAC about their decision regarding fall sports. The PIAA then held a meeting yesterday afternoon, a long meeting, a lot of issues to discuss, and came to the decision to move forward. Of course, as we said, you could put a stop sign up there anytime you want, but talk, if you would, about that meeting and some of the concerns that were voiced and how the final decision was made.
Sure, absolutely, and thank you for the opportunity for us to be on today. Yeah, we, as you can imagine, like every, like the college conferences and pros are having, we have a lot of discussion right now with athletics, and fortunately for us, we do feel that we're in just a little bit of a different environment and setup than the college and the pros. And most of that really deals around the fact that with the high school, we're talking about local communities. We're not really talking about kids that are coming from across the nation to the schools or from different countries, traveling around the world to play pro or to play, collegiate Division I sports. So from Jump Street, we feel we're different in that vein. Additionally, we looked at it from the standpoint of, look, these high school kids, once they academically enter the ninth grade, they've got 4 consecutive years to participate in high school athletics, and that's it. They don't get another year. They can't put anything in escrow and put it on hold and come back and, be a fifth-year senior. So it's vital, in our opinion, that we do whatever we can to try to get them some sort of season. And as you probably heard yesterday, it may be modified. There may be a sport we can't do. Right now, our intention is that we are going to try to get all fall sports in. As you saw, starting on with heat acclimatization with football on July 10th, and the rest of the sports starting on August 17th. 2 other pieces that I would share. One of the concerns raised was from some of our school board members that are on our board, is the fact that how do they justify in the school setting, in the building right now, all the safety measures that they're having to put in place in classrooms and cafeterias and alternate schedules and some learning online and some coming to school and busing, and trying to keep kids apart. Then at 3 o'clock, we're going to turn around and we're going to let them tackle each other on the football field or play soccer against each other or play volleyball. And what we're seeing now with more science and reports that we're getting is we just heard a report last week from Dr. Chow, who was part of the Chargers program, pro team, years ago, is that it's more about what they call viral load, meaning your prolonged exposure in an enclosed area with somebody that may have it or the virus itself. So you actually probably are more at risk if you're inside a building for 30 minutes with somebody. There's talking, there's coughing, somebody might sneeze, versus an outside environment where our interaction may be 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then we're apart and we're at opposite ends of the field, or I'm on the sideline and you're in the game, or, So we feel that's very beneficial for us to help justify why we think interscholastic athletics should take place. And also, honestly, what it comes down to, these kids need it. We know they need it. I mean, you've seen them come out since we were, June 10th when we said, hey, you can have out-of-season workouts. They're out in hordes. They miss it, and they need it. So that's a lot of what the conversation was based on yesterday.
There has to be, from the PIAA standpoint, a level of comfortability that these schools have great measures in place and that you're pretty sure that they're doing the right thing, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And so for those that don't know, when we opened up on June 10th to say to schools, look, you can start to have out-of-season voluntary workouts on your campuses. You can start to have open gyms. You can start to open your weight room and let kids back in. The only way that a school can do that is if they've adopted a health and safety measure plan. It's been approved by their school board, and it's posted on their school website. I'll just give you an example. My kids are at the high school age. They're participating in field hockey. and my son plays baseball. But my daughter, she has to do a temperature check every morning before she goes to her out-of-season workout. Coaches are looking for, any type of symptoms. If they have a kid that's been reported to be not feeling well, that student's not permitted, to come. They would have to get tested or cleared. If they obviously would have it, then they should be quarantined for 14 days. So yes, every school has had to put in place a plan approved by their school board before they could allow kids back on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. One of the issues that was brought up during the meeting yesterday, and I can understand why the PIAA feels the way that it does about it, flipping fall sports to spring sports and vice versa. From a college standpoint, that may work. From a high school standpoint, not really. Not practical, correct?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's correct. It causes a lot of concerns for us. One of the main concerns is putting football in the spring. Our concern, and we talked about this with our sports medicine advisory committee on Monday night, is a short turnaround then to having football in the fall of 2021. And, ending up, so our spring right now, our spring championships, and this, Mark, go till, the end of, middle of June.
Yeah.
So, where do you stop that? Just with the physical contact nature of football in terms of it being a collision sport, from a health and safety standpoint of this young age group, meaning they're still growing, they're still, maturing. We just don't like the idea of football running through middle of June. They're going to turn around and we're going to bring them back at the beginning of August. There's certainly some concerns with trying to move those around. Early on, people were talking about, switch baseball and football, put football in the spring and baseball in the fall. Well, our fear is baseball's already lost the season, and none of us have any guarantees. Our plan is to move forward, but if Governor Wolf decides that it's going to get shut down, it's going to get shut down, and there's not much we can do. So our fear would be we move that, and then all of a sudden we don't have a fall. If he shuts us down or something else pops up that we didn't expect. Now baseball just lost 2 seasons, so there's certainly danger in that, and it's just right now we don't think that's our best avenue. So our plan right now is to move ahead as scheduled.
We're talking with Melissa Mertz, Associate Executive Director of the PIAA, held the Zoom meeting yesterday at which the decision was made to move forward. But as you point out, that's a decision made on July 16th. You're going to convene again before the end of this month, and everything could change by then. Yeah,
as you've seen and we've all seen, it just changes so much. I mean, not even just weekly, sometimes it's daily. We've looked at different things from what's considered to be within close personal, prolonged personal contact, or, and some say 10 minutes, less than 6 feet, some say 15 minutes, less than 6 feet, some say 3 feet. So
yeah.
It's, and it just changes so much. So, we're doing the best we can, keeping, the lines of communication open with Department of Health, the Governor's Office, PDE, and just working together to try to do our best to give these kids some type of a high school season. We just feel that they need it, they deserve it, and whatever we can do. If it's modified, so be it. And some of the things maybe we have to look at, the media admission. We may have to look at, is it parents only? Are there no spectators? So. Those are all things that we'll probably have to address within the next 2 weeks.
Are there considerations being given to a particular region might be hard hit by coronavirus, but another region might not, either by county to county or at the district level or a regional level as to, okay, this sport or this area moved into the yellow phase from green phase, so we have to cut down or shut down everything across the state? Or can one area operate independently of another?
Yeah, right now our thinking is that we would allow other areas to operate even if one area went down. It was the same philosophy we kind of adopted back when we were looking at the June 10th date of allowing out-of-season workouts. Back then, you still had some counties that were, I think you even had still a few that were in red, and you had some in green, and I think you had some in yellow. So, that discussion, we're having the same one now, that if let's just say, Philadelphia gets their cases start to spike and they got to shut down, does the rest of the state go? And our feeling is, yeah, we feel whatever we can get for whoever we can get it for, I guess is the best way of saying we're going to try to do that. And that was the same philosophy the board says. And we had a board member, the first person that spoke to it was in an area that he knew his two kids who are junior high and high school would be negatively impacted because they were in a red area. And he said, it doesn't matter. I'd rather see other kids at least have the opportunity to participate. He said, there's no reason just because my kids can't, that nobody else should. So
right.
I think that's the general philosophy of the board.
That's one of the things that I think is a strength of the PIAA is that these folks on these boards, they're parents. Their kids are in school for the most part. They're playing the games.
Yeah. We're living it. We're living it.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, you're living it within your own household, and so you have the approach of a parent, but at the same time of an official. And sometimes those things might butt up against each other, but they are all considerations that have to be made. Okay, so
yeah, and I think I'm sorry, I was going to add one more thing. I think an important piece that I didn't mention yet is we're not operating outside the governor's guidance right now. The kids are playing. They're playing travel baseball. They're playing AAU basketball. They're playing club field hockey. They're playing club soccer. They're playing. And so I think that's important to say the governor hasn't shut sports down. So we're going to keep moving, and we're going to try to get a season in. The other thing is this. Our fear is if you're not going to play for high school, they're going to go somewhere and play. And with the high school setting, we have measures in place with our schools that provide a much more safer environment, in our opinion. We have athletic trainers. We have a health and safety plan that's been adopted by the school. There's more at risk, so they take more precautions. So where do you want your kids? I by no means, both my kids play outside of high school, so I'm not in any way bashing that. I think both provide a great benefit. But at the same time, we don't want to sit as high school athletics, sit on the sideline and watch all these kids go play around the state and travel and AAU and Legion. Maybe not Legion, but and we're not doing anything for the high school kids.
Yeah.
So
just a moment left with Melissa Mertz from the PIAA this morning. I wanted to bring this up because talking with Paul Tortorella, the IUP head football coach yesterday, he raised the concern about spreading the athletic training staffs around too thinly. And it's been a problem the last 5 or 6 years, maybe even 10 years or so, finding enough officials to do the job for some of these sports. That has to be something that is considered as well. Some of these officials are up there in years. They still do it for the love of the game, but there might be some restrictions and some rescheduling necessary because of those factors.
Yeah, no doubt. That's one of the areas certainly we had to take into consideration. You're exactly right. The average age of our official, it's not 21. It's high. And interestingly enough, we certainly have had a few inquiries from officials with some concerns. But overall, we just had 2 of our officials reps on our board speak to this. They're ready to go. They said they talked to many officials in their local areas. They're anxious to get out too. Because what you said, they do it for the love of the game and they enjoy it, and I know they're missing it too. So, yes, certainly, just like we probably might have parents that want to withhold their kids for concerns. I'm sure we're going to have some officials that are going to rescind or withdraw, and we'll deal with those when they come forward. But again, our whole thinking was, if we have the opportunity for kids to play high school sports, we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. So I think everybody's on board with that. Melissa
Mertz, the Associate Executive Director of the PIAA. Melissa, after this meeting coming up toward the end of the month, I hope that we can talk with you again and freshen it up, and hopefully we can continue to move forward. But thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to talk to you again. We'll plan on that in another 2 weeks.
Excellent. Have a great day today.
Thanks. You too. Take care. Thanks. You too. Take care. Thanks.